What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another tune from the Orlando film soundtrack by David Motion and Sally Potter. Thank you once more to Sofia for providing this soundtrack and for showing me the movie, as well as to the other Sofia who commented, at least on the last reaction. I don't remember if it was before that as well. But speaking of that, I reacted to Ice last time, and I was thinking it came during the earlier scene where Orlando, as a man, and Sasha are skating. And there was a suggestion that no, that comes later when the ice is broken so the ship can leave. But there's also a track in the soundtrack called Breaking Ice. And I listened to it, and it's nearly identical. It is a bit different, and also it's a different duration. So I think maybe I was on the right track, that the ice track comes earlier. Because indeed, the tunes are organized in the soundtrack basically by chronology, like early in the movie to later in the film. So either way, it's so similar that I think we'll come back for that one and do it at a different point. So what I've decided to react to here is the poem. Now, Orlando, again, as a man before he becomes a woman, is dabbling in poetry. He's writing poetry, but then there's that scene where he reaches out to this famous poet who essentially disregards and insults the quality of Orlando's poetry, which is sort of a devastating experience. And I think that's right before he goes as an emissary or a dignitary to the Ottoman Empire. So, yeah, I don't know exactly when this plays, but I'm keen to, again, just keep going through the soundtrack and referencing points in the film, and I do wonder as I said, the moment not only this plays, but the mood of the piece is, I guess, what I mean to say. So let's give it a listen. This is the poem from the soundtrack to Orlando, which is done by David Motion and Sally Potter. I felt that, but it went longer than I thought. Indeed, number one, it's a very short piece, obviously, but there is a lot of atmosphere in it, and it's notable because there's the lead strings, which I think are violins, and then there's, I think, a stand-up bass or a contrabass, maybe a cello at the lower end, which is giving sort of this rhythmic line, but there's other strings, I think maybe also violins, that are essentially like a drone. It's almost like, when bagpipes are played, how there's that backing drone the whole time. That's kind of what felt like what some of the strings were doing there. So there was a lead line, a supporting line, and then a bass line, a foundation, a drone. So it was a very layered experience. And yeah, I don't imagine that's when Orlando is essentially being rejected. I feel like maybe that's when the poem is in the process of composition. But yes, I can't recall specifically, and indeed, I really do need to go back and watch it again, which Sofia mentioned. So yes, at some point I will do that. But yeah, it's a very fitting track for the soundtrack overall. It's the kind of the vibe of the film, I think, comes across in this very short piece. And again, the idea of devoting a lot of time and creativity to something only to be sort of rejected out of hand, I feel like the tension of that comes across. So even if it's not in the scene where essentially Orlando is told that it's not something he should be pursuing because he just has no talent for it, it anticipates that moment. So definitely a very well composed, if, as I said, very short tune. Let's say that's a minute long. In fact, not even quite a minute. So yeah, ultimately we still have I don't know, 4/5 or at least 3/4 of the soundtrack left to go. So we'll keep going through it, and I'll try to come back for the next one soon. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you next time. Peace.